access to art in diverse communities across our country. And I'm going to give a little... The UMFA's loan of Pitch Blackness off Whiteness by Hank Willis Thomas fulfills strategic goals the museum and Art Bridges share, showcasing significant works of American art representing a range of perspectives, interpreting art through creative and critical lenses, and encouraging visitors to experience art in new ways. If you'd like to learn more about this, then guess what? There's a blog post, which I'm happy and very shamefully promoting right now. When you visit the UMFA's website, simply click on blog at the top of the header of the page. All of this is to say that we at the UMFA have wished to invite Hank here for a long time. 10 years ago, we hosted one of his collaborative public art projects, In Search of the Truth, also known as the Truth Booth. The UMFA acquired a large photographic work of Hank's for the collection in 2021. And we seized on this exciting opportunity with his neon work on loan from Art Bridges to make our wishes finally come true. Hank Willis Thomas is one of the most celebrated American artists working today. Through his art, he primarily addresses themes related to perspective, identity, commodity, media, and popular culture. His work has been exhibited globally, including the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, Portland Museum of Art, Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Bentonville, Arkansas, and the Guggenheim Museum, Bilbao in Spain. His public art practice spans several permanent artworks, including The Embrace on Boston Common, Reach in collaboration with Kobe Kennedy at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, and Duality at the Underline in Miami. Hank holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts from New York University and a Master of Arts and Master of Fine Arts from the California College of Arts in San Francisco. He received an honorary doctorate from his alma mater, California College of Arts, in 2024, as well as honorary doctorates from the Maryland Institute of Art in Baltimore and the Institute for Doctoral Studies in the Visual Arts in Portland, Maine. He was the 2022 United States Department of State Medal of Arts honoree from the Office of Art in Embassies, Washington, D.C. The UMFA's very own Gretchen Dietrich, the Marcia and John Price Executive Director, has been working in art museums for 37 years. For the last 17 years at the UMFA's helm, she has led a distinguished program of exhibitions and community engagement initiatives. She previously held positions in museum education, public programming, and exhibition planning at the Wadsworth Atheneum Museum of Art in Hartford, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art. She has proudly served on the board of directors of the Art Bridges Foundation since 2019. On behalf of Gretchen and all of us at the Utah Museum of Fine Arts, please join me in warmly welcoming Hank Willis Thomas to Salt Lake City and the University of Utah.
Great to be here. Hi, everyone. Hi. Can we turn the lights up in here? Just to see the people. I like to see faces. I mean, you can see mine, right? Yeah. Good. You said it was going to be a special evening. I don't know what you meant by that, but I took it as like, what do you call it? Like a challenge. Right, so who's here, who is welcome and willing to make this a special evening? Wait, first of all, who's not? Who's not welcome? Is your hand up or you're just touching your hair? Okay. Just like, Okay, so everyone is willing to make this a special evening. That's great. Let's do it. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so grateful to be here. I am truly blessed to get to be here with you all, and I know that you're blessed to be here with me. and no, I say that because we get to be together, And so right now, we are one. And I'm going to give a morbid example because of what's happening in the world. If a bomb dropped on this place, we would all die together. So this moment is ours to make of it. And let's do that. I met an artist named B. Mike in New Orleans. He is a really special person who is a make-happener who challenges spaces and people to do things that they don't really know how to do. And that's, I guess, what all artists tend to do at some point in their life. And for a long time, he was selling shirts that were saying, "We are our ancestors' wildest dreams." And that really touched me because I realize when I think about that, there are so many people living inside of me who lived so that I could live. Do you know what I mean? Like, in order for me to be alive, for any of us to be alive, someone had to suffer mightily and say, "I'm going to take the next breath." And they took the next breath because they thought or they knew that it would be worth it to someone else. And that's us, right? And to recognize that responsibility of carrying the spirit of countless beings who survived just long enough that I could survive is incredible. And to recognize that my ancestors aren't just the people who I carry through my chromosomes, but my ancestors are all the people who touched them. And we learned throughout the pandemic that you don't even have to touch someone to be a part of them. Like, literally, you open your mouth and now you're spitting in their mouth, and now we don't even know what's going on. And it made me realize how much we are, whether we like it or not, we are transferring information all the time to one another. And a lot of that information has been going around for millennia. And we're not even conscious of the fact that we're doing this, right? And so I have a question for you all. And you two have to split up. Can you stand up? All right. So one of you talks to one of you, and you talk to Neil. Okay. I did a little thing like this with Neil at SF MoMA a long time ago, but I'm doing something different. So everyone locates the closest person to them that they do not know. Okay. And threesomes are okay. But so, and Christina, you include Trevin in your group. All right. So, wait, we haven't even gotten started. I know you can't make it special without me. How about Trevin? You be my buddy. We'll be buddies. Okay. So, I've had experiences where I show up in a room and, like, automatically whatever energy is between me and someone else is either jiving or not jiving, right? And I realized at some point, I'm like, oh, there are other people with us in this room that we're not even aware of because we carry so much generational, this AI, this ancestral intelligence that could be traumatic or it can be opening. And so my question to you is to meditate for a moment on who else is in the room with you and what are they telling you to share with your buddy. So we're going to take, this is my art, by the way. This is my slideshow. So if you're online, just call somebody, just dial a random number. And we have a new friend, and that's your buddy. Wait, no, don't tell him to sit down. No, wait, no, he's your buddy. That's your buddy. Okay, you know the rules. Were you paying attention? No, okay, they can tell you the rules. Okay, all right, we're going to take 5 minutes to talk about someone who is with us in this moment that is not visible, and what they are asking us to share with someone, with our buddy. All right, I don't know who mine is, so are we ready? I hope you're channeling somebody like dope. That's what I'm trying to do. All right, so you were too far. All right, thank you. Timer. Okay. Alyssa, did you find someone? Did you find someone? Okay, good. All right. Who needs extra time? Raise your hand if you need extra time. Okay, go ahead. We got 30 more seconds. Okay, so thank you all for coming back to the room into a singular physical spirit, but please keep your invisible buddies with you if they choose to stay here. Good buddy, huh? Isn't it so nice to make? Isn't it so easy to make something nice with a total stranger? Like that you can just, someone can just look in your eyes and touch your heart, and through their vulnerability, through their willingness to play, that there's something that I think we forget as adults, right? It's trained out of us that we can't just like somebody or love someone just because they're sharing space with us. And so when I am conscious and when I am aware, which is not always, I'm like, let's do this. Let's do this. And so I was told by a person who was born probably 100 years ago. Is that possible? And they just time traveled to tell me to be fearless with my truth. And his name, may I share, was Alistair Moore. And so I wrote it down on my phone. I invited everybody else to tell their best friend. This is my best friend, by the way. What message was shared with you? And so tonight, I got 10 minutes to just be fearless with my truth on the stage right now, and then we'll do some with Gretchen. But thank you so much for making this. That was special to me. So thank you for that. I've never done that before, right? No, yeah, I don't know. I've never done that before, and this is what I love about being an artist, is that there doesn't need to be any definition or framework around it. I was told who I was through media, through commerce, through popular culture, through ancestral intelligence that wasn't always serving who I was. And in some ways I realized at some point that I was being branded with an identity that I didn't even actually understand what it meant. And so often I carry throughout my life these brands, these stories that tell people how to think about me and what to think about me. And I was really fascinated with how the language of advertising is the most ubiquitous language in the world, and how I could use this language to tell stories that aren't easy to see on the surface. So what I did is do this project called Unbranded Reflections in Black from 1940, Unbranded Reflections in Black, 1968 to 2008. And I took 2 ads for every year from 1968 to 2008 and removed all the advertising information as a way that were focused on quote-unquote black people, to focus on kind of what's really being sold. Like when you strip the advertising information away, who knows what these ads are for? The left, anybody want to guess? 1977? Sloppy Joe, the right? And Jemima. And hey, this is a cool moment. Who's the person no, it's not Aunt Jemima. Blue Bottom Margarine. Who's in it? Nope. Joe Frazier. So now we got Sloppy Joe and Joe Frazier. Never noticed that before. But this ad on the left is an ad that was from 1974, I believe. No, it's 77. That could not have existed in 1967. Literally, to have an ad where a white man and a black man are sitting at the same lunch table, and the white man is looking longingly at the black man's dark meat, is something that was unthinkable in 1967. And what I'm fascinated by is the choice to take the heavyweight boxing champion, Joe Frazier, and put him in a blue bonnet and have this reference that most people are going to immediately think of as a mammy, think of this caricature, Aunt Jemima. These are decisions that are being made that are signals about kind of who's important, what's acceptable. And we usually imbibe these before we even know what's what. And so I think that race is the most successful advertising campaign of all time. This idea, like people have, this one thing I know, because people get sensitive when I say that race is, I think in order to believe in race, you have to suspend your disbelief. It's like believing in Batman, right? Because people have been moving around the world for a long time, and they've been having sex for a long time. And to think that there's one point where like, there's one person on this planet who never had sex with someone else from a different quote unquote group that's in you is a total mythology, and have fun with it, But I realized that like this idea of race, the people who came up with it had a good idea. They're like, how do we make ourselves better than other people? Why don't we tell stories that are convincing about how those other people are less than us, and then tell stories about how we're better than them? And then there you go. And you have people who aren't white, literally, who are white, and people who aren't black, like brown people like me, who are black. And there's all these connotations embedded in them. and these signals that funny, sometimes as a black person, I'll look at people who present as white and be like, that's a black person, right? And so there's this way in which I learned through this artist named Sunil Gupta, who's a black British artist, quote unquote, but he's actually from Pakistan. That's his identity, because he says in the 80s that what it meant to be black, at least in England, was that blackness was about your relationship to power. And it's fascinating. My father-in-law is English. He's from Essex, which is East London, and I had an exhibition in Mayfair, and that's like the fancy part. And I introduced him to like a peer of his age peer, and he said 5 words, and the guy was like, "Oh, Essex boy, eh?" And I watched this 70-year-old man shrink, and I realized in England, race is in your tongue, right? And so wherever we are, we find ways to make ourselves feel better about other people, about ourselves, and other people feel less. And oftentimes we make ourselves feel less because of what we think they think about us. But now I'm realizing that I actually am you, and you're me. So if I'm projecting, the reason you're me is because I have no idea who you're looking at. I have never seen this person do this. I have no idea what it looks like. I can imagine it. I've kind of seen this person in a mirror a lot, but it's kind of backwards. So it's a total mythology that who I am is this. Who I am is the people who are you, the people who make up my life, the people that make up my world, for better and for worse, and how I relate to them and how I relate to myself, the self of me that I project onto them. And so what I love about opportunities like this is I just get to see the beauty in myself. And that's you. And I hope you're seeing something nice. But this statement, I am, I realize is those are the 2 most powerful words in the English language. I am, right? And usually we say I am, I am Traven. We don't even, somebody else gave you that name. So before you even existed, someone gave you a name, a meaning. My name is Hank. This is terrible. I am Hank. It's like how many times have I said them? Why didn't I would have gone with Henry at least, but this idea of, or people say, "How are you?" I'm good. I'm fine. And occasionally I'll meet someone else, say, "How are you?" They'll say, "I'm blessed and highly favored," and I'm like, "Wow," right? That person is awake because they are choosing the moment that can be so insignificant as a way to challenge the other person to experience gratitude, right? And I don't have the courage to do that yet, but someday you'll meet me and I'll say I'm blessed and highly favored. But I was thinking about how when the United States Constitution was written, African Americans were written in as 3/5 of a human being, right? And that most people we consider no women could vote, and I guess Utah was the first state to ratify women's suffrage. I learned that from Laura Hurtado, so it was there. In February, when? February what? 1918. So on Valentine's Day. So I think that gives new meaning to your love sculpture. But so the top line I try to made a timeline. It's based off the font. It's based off this amazing photograph by Ernest Withers of people holding signs saying "I am a man" in 1968, in April 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee, and Martin Luther King went down to support this march for people who wanted to share the lunch table with their coworkers. And in his participation in that was when he was assassinated and ripped from his family. But they were holding signs saying "I am a man." And I thought that was funny because when I grew up, the statement I learned was "I am the man." And I realized that it went from a collective statement during segregation to this almost selfish statement and during the integration period, and kind of what happens in these kind of flexible this language. And so I decided to write a poem in the last line where it's, "I'm the man, who's the man, you the man, what a man, I am man, I am human, I am many, I am I am amen." Thinking about my grandmother, who's now with me, who's the most beautiful spirit I've ever experienced, who recognized that she was a blessing. And she didn't say much, she didn't do much, but she blessed every person she ever met. And so I am amen in this moment. And so Gretchen, can you amen to that? Let's go. Here we are. Our friend Tina here is going to flip the slides for us so that we can talk.
Hi, Hank Willis Thomas.
Oh, I need a microphone.
Oh, we all, yeah, they're on my phone. Oh, they're on our chairs. Yeah. And you have to push that.
Yes, I got it.
Hello. Hello, hello. Well, I mean, I wrote things, but I don't know if I need this piece of paper.
I don't think you do, but you already did the work, so.
I did. I just want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. Thank you, Art Bridges, for making this possible. And thank you, Hank Willis Thomas, for saying yes and for coming to see us in Salt Lake City. We're so happy to have you here.
I had no choice. I'm not sure if I believe in free will.
I think that's true. I think this just needed to happen.
Well, you all, yeah, somebody sent, maybe it was Art Bridges, somebody sent a beacon and we all showed up, right?
Someone sent a beacon. That's right. So, yeah, we're just happy to have you here. We, I've been in love with your work forever, it feels like. We've brought your work into this collection, so the large photograph called The Cotton Bowl.
One question. Can we call it my play for this moment, since we're just...
Can we call it what?
My play, instead of my
Your
work.
play.
Work just sounds so hard.
That stuff you do fooling around in your studio.
Yes. Sorry.
With all your friends.
I'll be quiet, but I'm just going.
Yeah, but it's, this is important, and I mean, maybe I'll sort of jump to my last question. But it's actually not my last question. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was this idea of a community-engaged art museum. And that's something that we've worked very hard to make happen here at the Utah Museum of Fine Arts. I've worked really hard in my life and my play to find a way to make that happen. And it's not always easy, I will say. And I'm curious to know, what does that phrase, a community-engaged art museum, mean to you? You've done so many projects with so many amazing art museums all around the world, and what does success look like for you in that realm? What would you like to see museums do more or do differently? Or how might artists motivate museums to make changes to their practices, to be more honestly engaged and connected to real people?
I have some thoughts. Everyone who comes to this space reads one word that sets the tone for their experience. You know what that word is?
What is that word?
Love. Yeah. How cool is that?
It just arrived.
Well, I think it's been here for a long time. It's fascinating to see I love museums because they are the last places on Earth, this Earth, where people go to find out something they don't know. Like when you go to watch a movie, you know it's good. You know what you're going to see. You go to a concert, you know generally what you're going to see. But when you go to an art museum, you don't know. Even if you've been there a million times, you're like, something that you've seen before may change you, or it may change because of where it went. And so I have learned, as I did a tour with you earlier, you said something, you showed us a piece, and you didn't know when it was from. It was a Chinese artifact, and this vase, it's blue and white with bats and...
Bats and clouds.
And I thought about this. I was like, who made this? When did they make this? Where did they make this? And it's centuries old, 1700s, and was likely made in China.
Yep.
How many hands held this fragile object?
I totally agree. That's so mind-blowing.
To like bring it to this space. How many people's lives actually were lived, like that's before the American Revolution, before this place ever existed. So I recognize that this is also a time machine. Like everything that is in this building was made by someone who saw the future. Like every artist is living in a future that doesn't exist yet. And I would say curators too, where you're like, something's just telling me that these things are going to culminate into this, whether it be like clay, whether it be like an idea that we're literally living in the future. And that's why I say whoever invited me here, wherever you are, they were like, they saw something I didn't know. I don't even know. I just showed up. And I showed up recognizing that it was at the beneficence on some part of Art Bridges, who I have a long-term. I realized today I was saying that I believe I introduced Art Bridges to the public in 2018, and now I didn't. And I was at Spelman College last week, and Art Bridges was a sponsor there.
That's awesome.
So there, and these are the things that we're always circulating. What we put out is, I don't know. I'll just stop there. But I think what I know is that Carrie Mae Weems, who's an incredible artist, said to me once that there is a lot of don't take yourself too seriously, because there is a lot of room for seriousness in play, but not a lot of room for play and seriousness.
True.
And so when we talk about our work, we got to be serious, right? And people have to take it seriously. And it almost dies. What happens if we talk about it as like, I'm putting a message in a bottle into the infinite space and time, and somebody is either going to break it and read it, or it'll just be floating around forever. And if you think about everything that we culminate as a message in a bottle to countless human beings, I think it's pretty exciting.
I mean, we talk a lot here at the UMFA about a sense of welcome. You know, that I think a lot of people who come to this museum, it may be the first time they've ever walked into an art museum. And we want people to see themselves here. We want people to feel welcome and feel like they belong, that they have within them everything they need to explore these galleries and to interact with these objects and to see the bats and the clouds. And I think maybe that, I mean, there are many things that I love about your work, but I think your work is very much about connecting the past to the present and the future.
Check that out.
Yep.
Here I am being fearless with my truth.
Yeah, and we hosted that in 2016 in front of Marriott Library.
Can you believe his grandfather told me to be fearless with my truth, and the Truth Booth was the first project that I got to do here? Like it's just
cool.
magic. Can you share about my experience with your husband?
Yeah, so some of you know my husband, Monty Prey.
Please stand up.
Yeah, that's Monty Prey. So he's a professor of...
How many years? How many years have you dedicated your life to this space?
22 years.
Almost 23.
Yeah, and collectively, how many years?
Collectively, 23 plus 18.
That's almost as old as me.
Yeah. So I introduced Monty to Hank earlier this afternoon, and we did the Monty's a professor of art history here at the UMFA thing. And Hank said, "What do you teach?" And Monty said, "I teach modern and contemporary art history. I teach about land art, I teach about art in the environment, I teach about monuments." He teaches your work in that class, I'm sure. And then Hank said, "But what did you study?" Is that what you said? Like, what started it?
What brought you here?
What brought you here?
Like
what was it that you, and Monty, his dissertation's on the Bauhaus, the famous school of art in Germany. And Hank went, "Oh, I knew it." And we went, "What?" And then he pops out his phone and he shows Monty something that Monty recognized, which is basically sort of the logo of the Bauhaus. I think you said from 1923. Monty knew when it was from and who made it. Oskar Schlemmer designed this sort of logo for the Bauhaus School of Art in Germany. And Hank then put to the next picture a photograph that you took.
No, I found it online.
It was pretty beautiful. A photograph of the great Breuer building, what we call is the Old Whitney on Madison Avenue in New York City.
Yeah.
That's one of the great museum buildings in the world. And what Hank saw was how that building, the profile of that building, which was built by an architect who studied at the Bauhaus, looked just like that logo from the Bauhaus. So, I mean, Monty has spent a lot of his life thinking about the Bauhaus and thinking about Oscar Schlemmer, but it's an artist who does what you did. It's an artist who can walk through the world and make connections and see things that really, it's your superhero power. The rest of us don't always have
You
that.
have it, you're just not...
We have to train it.
You just take yourselves too seriously. Well, 'cause I believe before we were conditioned, trained, like for can I go on my next soapbox?
You can do whatever you like.
Okay. Upstairs there's work that some people would call primitive, right?
Used to be called that.
It's not awful. It's the context that we attach to primitivism. Because modernization and people have been on this planet for like a long time. Either 6,000 or a million years, depending on what you're asking. But this idea that people have been on this planet for a super long time, living, somehow surviving without hot water, without AC, without vaccines, without all of this stuff that we have. And they didn't necessarily live as long, but they might have lived better. We don't know. And somehow as we've kind of evolved, we've gotten so comfortable that we are possibly on the brink of extinction. Like we very well might be one of the last generations of human beings to live until, we will be born again in a different, there's going to be somebody's going to survive. But it's crazy to me to think that the past 200 years, there's been this explosion of population, this explosion of ideas, and we don't know how to touch a tree. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to find food for ourselves. And so I believe there is this AI that knows how to, that has an antenna, that can see a total stranger and be like, I know you, I see you, I see this. And this is where I think every religion is based in, is this spirit that is in all of us, that we call different things, but can only exist when we're together.
And a desperation to connect in a real way.
And so when I met my friend Enzo Prina online, like, I don't know this person. Stand up, please. Enzo is an artist who's popular on the internet, but is also from Utah. And I just shared a post of some of his amazing work, and he was like, thanks. And I was like, thanks, random person. He's like, what's your address? I was like, here, I'm going to give a random person my address. And then yesterday, as I was leaving for the airport and Christina was rushing me, someone in my studio was just like, oh, look, what's this thing on the table? I'm like, I don't know. And I message him, and I'm like, am I supposed to do what I think I'm supposed to do with it? And it's on my social media. And then I literally make this work of art that is his in my studio, and as we're rushing to the airport. And he's like, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, you just a total stranger because I shared something on social media.
So to me, that's like you being open, you saying yes. Have you always been that way? Or did you learn to be more that way?
People have said yes to me.
It's easier to say it back if people say it to you?
No, you just learn it. Like Alice Walton, who is the kind of genius behind Art Bridges and Crystal Bridges. I didn't know, like, Alice, maybe I met her, she came to one of my openings, we had some talks, she didn't collect my work, but she was like, I'd love for you to I'm doing this new thing called Art Bridges, and I'd love for you to introduce me at the Guggenheim. I'm like, okay. And I kind of knew who she was. I didn't know she's like the richest woman in the world. And I read things about Walmart and had this idea of who all of the Waltons were and what all of their values were, but I was just like, sure. Yeah. And to see that why me, and why I said yes, and why we said yes, and like to see like the work that you all work with 300 institutions and touch hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives. And to know that I was just like, I happened to be like a little widget in that is such a cool thing.
It's amazing.
And it's just like, so I do believe that if we're open and we can say yes, And there's always a good reason to say no. There's always a good reason to say no.
true.
And I just like the yes.
Can I ask you a question about public art? You
No.
know, come on, please. You're supposed to say yes.
Yes.
And you know, Robert, Indiana, you know, that iconic giant thing, that's the actual one that was on 6th Avenue, and boop, it's landed here in Salt Lake City on our corner, and it is Love on our corner. You were right about that.
Love left New York? Oh my goodness.
I know, you guys you're in trouble now. But you know, what I'm curious to know is you have a very successful career for many years making great art that is in museums, in private collections, and in galleries. But you're driven to make these public artworks. And it seems to me that making works of art that are in the public realm, in the public sphere, that's a whole different conversation. That is in a way, you're opening yourself up to, and you have the ability to reach the masses, right? But how do you think about that? And is it harder? Is it easier? Are you gonna keep doing it? How do you think about it?
Yes. Except for I don't think about it. I just say yes. And I became a public artist because my old professor, Chris Johnson, asked me he just called me up one day. He's like, I'm now the art commissioner for Oakland, the city of Oakland. Do you want to do a public art project? And I'm like, yes. Do you know how? Nope. I know, yes. And I called my friends up, and we're like, let's figure out how to do something. And our idea was that we were going to go and make 400 video portraits of strangers and make a mosaic that was called Along the Way that we displayed at the Oakland airport. And then that was $20,000 and split 5 ways. And we thought I thought I could live a year for that because I was making like $14,000 a year then. So $20,000 was just like.
And think of how many people saw that work. It's incredible.
But also think about what it said to me. I'm like, wow, I made $5,000 art, right? And it's just because somebody just randomly got a job and called me to do this. It's like, oh, it's these ideas of the barriers and the gatekeepers are more in our head than we think they are. Like, your heart is the passport.
Oh, that's good. You clearly are naturally a collaborative human being. So, has that always been true? Like just working, I don't see you kind of toiling away in your studio playing by yourself. You
say I'm not a good artist?
I'm saying that I think you derive energy.
You just hurt my feelings.
And love.
That's what a real artist does. They're in their studio toiling away.
Leave me alone,
yes.
Barbara.
I'm a genius.
But clearly you're a human who derives energy and creativity and all things from other human beings, and you've done so many collaborative projects with all sorts of different kinds of people. That's just who you are, yeah?
Every interaction you have with another person, whether it is virtual or IRL, is a collaboration. We're just not often, what makes it art is the naming of it. Right, when we think about performance art, it's just somebody being weird, right? But
the weirder, the better.
But we put a little frame around it now, we are experiencing art, and that's the collaboration. If you all didn't get the beacon and show up, I would not be here. We wouldn't be collaborating in this moment, right? And being quiet and sharing your spirit, the way that you all are, witnessing is also a collaboration. And so what I have recognized is that there's always a way, and most people have magic in them that they're harboring like it's a finite resource. And what I know from all of our shared ancestors is that there are infinite resources within us. And there's little games that people play about division, like Who Taught You to Love? That's a good one. This is a billboard that's credited to me that I didn't actually come up with. My friend Claudia Pena said, you should do a billboard called Who Taught You to Love? And I was like, okay, you should do it. She's like, no, you should do it. I'm like, okay. And so people come up to me like, wow, Hank, you're such a great artist. That's such a beautiful question. Who taught you to love? And this other guy, Sam Schmidt, who's like an Australian guy, designed it. And he used to work for Adam Pendleton, and somehow my name's on it. I mean, I didn't make any money off of it, really, but like, yeah, and I'm just like, and it's because it's like, okay, I guess if you don't, you said that, you didn't want your name on it, you did, like, and like, because this naming of, this authorship thing is a joke, right? It's like, it's not mine, you know? And I've struggled in some element in my life because I don't really believe in money and stuff like that. And now I have kids. I'm like, oh, and people think I'm like, yeah, I've touched a lot of millions of dollars. but because the way that I see the world, I'm just like, let's play, you know? Like, you're a total stranger, share with us. What wisdom do you have to share? And so like, and that's to me, that giving, I've been given so much. I just think the circulation of this energy is so powerful. And money is nothing but energy. It has no value. It's just energy. And I love to share the energy with the world.
This was not on my paper, but can I ask you about women?
Stop doing that. This is a professional. I'm in her house. And she's like, can I ask you about, I'm like, you're in charge.
Okay. I wish to ask you about women because from what I understand, your mother is a mighty woman, incredible woman, artist, professor, activist. You mentioned that your grandmother was like the greatest human being ever walked the face of the earth earlier.
Yes.
Yeah. You're married to a really smart, powerful woman who's a curator, who unfortunately was supposed to be here and didn't join us in the end, and you have 2 baby daughters. So you are surrounded by amazing women, and has that always been so? Are you?
Yes, I was like all my one male cousin, Sunga Willis, was murdered, but yeah, the rest there was like 9 women and like me and him, and so I always thought I was one of the girls, but then I realized that I was raised with misogyny and all the other kind of stuff. Some of the superpowers that were, so like, yes, I do love strong women. I happen to have been blessed by them, but I don't ever believe that I am the man that deserves to be of them. Even though I know that I'm not a man, I'm just a loving spirit of light. And this like, I'm many. But when I put myself in that box of manhood, I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough. Because look at these people.
I'm not good enough, is that?
What man could ever be as good as the women that built their life? I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased. You're seeing my bias, but like, that's my, like, I'm like, I try. And so being a father of 2 girls, all I really think about is like, I know I'm gonna mess them up, but how do I leave some message to them? And this is where even the public art is just like, whoever, because we all can blame our parents for something. So I know that at some point it's gonna come to me. But like, yeah, that they know that there's something inside them that's bigger than all my failures or weaknesses, which they're 4 and 7, so they don't know much of them now, which is good. But like, I can imagine in like 10 years.
You say that's why God made therapists.
Yeah, but you said something about your daughter.
No, I have 2 boys.
Your boys, your sons. You said something about them.
Yeah, what did I say about him?
You said
He's
that
adorable.
when they get older, because they're 22.
I said, because we FaceTimed with his family, and the girls are so adorable. And I said, mine are 22 and 20 now, and I loved every stage. When they're little and they're crabby and they throw up on you, that's harder in some ways. But I love when you start learning from your children. That is just, they teach me things all the time, crazy things.
And I just want to be
things
one of
I don't
those,
want to know.
But I want to be one of those parents that is in love with their children when they're older, and that they love me enough to. And as one of my aunts took care of her mother for the last 30 years of her life. And I was thinking a lot about like You know how magical you need to be to, like, because she was feeding her when she died in their home. And I was just like, and her last words to her daughter were, "You're so beautiful." And then the breath left her 100 years old. And I'm just imagining this woman's now almost 70. And like, can you imagine, literally imagine this child, you're feeding them, you're nursing them, you're nurturing them, and you're nurturing them to love you in the future. And she made sacrifices that her sisters didn't, and I wonder why. You know, that like, but like that's powerful. You know, like to be like, I'm going to spend 30 years of my life nurturing you because I'm so grateful the way you nurtured me. Like that's when I talk about the bar as a parent.
Good
I'm
as
like,
it gets.
How do I get that? Right? With my daughters, I'm like, well, especially my younger one, I'm sure she's going to be gone.
All right, let me ask one more question, and then we'll turn it over to you. So this question, you know, your work has been engaged with like really big, meaty issues about what it means to be a human being and to love and to live and to think and to feel. Issues of memory, you know, whose stories are remembered, whose stories are forgotten, how we look back, how we look forward, how we think about truth and honesty, and so much about justice, imagining and envisioning a more just society for all of us. And these issues have always mattered, and of course they always will be with us and they will always matter. But in this present moment, in our country and in the world, how do you feel as an artist and a person who has been so engaged with these incredible issues for so long? Where do we go from here? Will art save us, or at least help us to find the way forward together? Please say yes.
What was the question? The last question you asked? The first question. Well, I'm just gonna say it.
Will art save us?
No, you said, where do we go from here?
Yeah, where do we go from here?
So there was a book called Where Do We Go From Here? And funny, I do this. There's a book called, go back one page, please. And it was the last book written by this person. It was called Where Do We Go From Here? And I'm gonna now try to find a page.
I need to read that book?
This is Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King. And they met in Boston Common. They were refugees from the segregated South and the segregated North. And someone introduced them, and they went on a first date in this park, Boston Common, which is the oldest continuously used public space in the country. And can you go to the next slide? They were steps away from where this monument to their love now stands. And to think about two strangers saying, like, just walking and talking and connecting, and through their willingness to commit to love each other, the ripple effect of that love, which was not always easy for either of them, is incredible. Because when he was assassinated in 1968, he was not a beloved figure in our society. And it was through her love for him and for the society, this notion of the beloved community, that where do we go from here? I can't talk and type. Where?
His camera roll, by the way, is gorgeous. There's so many amazing photos.
Here. Darn it. All right, I'm gonna have to find it the other way. Forgive the beeps, but this idea that the weight of his legacy was on her shoulders. And so I wanted to make a monument to her strength and to their love. So when you walk inside this monument, and on the day that the monument was debuted, their only grandchild, Yolanda King, walked inside it, and she said, "I feel like my grandparents are looking down on me. I feel like it's a portal to them." And I felt so blessed. And then there were Republicans and Democrats who were all, I found it, they were all like there, like hugging and being like, we made it. And then Tucker Carlson and Fox News got the story and made it a lot more fun. And if you don't know what I mean, look it up. But I learned the difference between IRL and internets, because people were walking up to me being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you about the controversy." I'm like, "What controversy?" And I had to learn that there was something else that was going on, and people were like critiquing the sculpture at first, and they were like, "Yeah, it's like terrible, like how people felt when the Statue of Liberty came out, or when the Eiffel Tower came out, or the Vietnam War Memorial. Everyone hated it." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "I made something that can only be compared to those?" So the answer of where do you go from here, how you got your glasses on, are in the last words written by Dr. Martin Luther King. So you wrote those words that Dr. King is answering. So here you go.
Where do we go
The last paragraph of the book.
Paragraph. We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow
Wait,
is...
take your time.
We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. Procrastination is still the thief of time. Life often leaves us standing bare, naked, and dejected with a lot of opportunity. The, quote, tide in the affairs of men, end quote, does not remain at the flood, it ebbs. We may cry out desperately for time to pause in her passage, but time is deaf to every plea and rushes on. Over the bleached
bones.
This thing come up. Sorry. Over the bleached bones and jumbled residues of numerous civilizations are written the pathetic words, quote, too late. There is an inevitable book of life that faithfully records our vigilance or our neglect. Quote, the moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, end quote. We still have a choice today, nonviolent coexistence or violent,
co-annihilation.
Co-annihilate?
We still have a choice between nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation.
Co-annihilation. Nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation. This may well be mankind's last chance to choose between chaos and community.
So, and he wrote that 60 years ago. This may be mankind's last chance to choose between chaos and community. And so when I think about this idea, this is our choice, right? That it's nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation. And it is, believe it or not, it is a choice. It's a creative choice. To see somebody and be like, they said this and they're not like me, and so I don't like them, or they're connected to these people who I don't like, and they're blah, blah, blah. And that can only lead in one direction. The forgiveness and the gift of forgiveness and unconditional love that was exhibited in Coretta Scott King, who was not a perfect human being, is to me the example that I believe that, like, yeah, I don't have to be perfect to understand the power of love. And I can exhibit that and to carry on that love for 50 years and when I say she's not a perfect human being, because she had to fiercely protect the legacy of another human being who might have hurt her in order for people to recognize that love overrules. And so that's where I like to end it, is this reminder that my cousin Sunga gave to me, which is that love overrules, and that when we put love over the rules, we can make magic. So thank you all for all of your collaboration in this.
So do you want to do like 2 questions from the audience, or? Okay, we'll do that.
Well, I think love overrules is a excellent way to end the conversation, and you've spared me the dubious honor of keeping time by doing that for me and having to interrupt you. But can you please join me in thanking Hank and Gretchen for their thoughtful dialogue this evening? And now, we do have a little time for questions, which these two have kindly offered to take from our audience. And I'd like to start with a question for Hank about a topic that multiple audience members submitted with their RSVPs to this program, or is related to a topic, and I've sort of cobbled them together for us to kind of represent those submissions. What is the most inspirational motivation for your work? And what has been the most impactful on you in regard to how you see the world and how you wish to convey that perspective to the world?
The most inspirational motivation is people believing in my value when I don't see it. And I gave that example of Alice in that context. I'm like, but like, there's so many people who believed in me when I'm like, me? Why me? And because of their belief, I had to live up to whatever they saw. And so what I often am inspired by is how do I challenge other people to see their power and the beauty that they don't that is blind to them, because they can't see what I'm looking at. Yeah. They can't see what I see. Yeah. Which is So does that answer your question? I hope. No.
I think that's brilliant.
Okay.
We can take another couple of questions from the audience. There's a hand right here. Thank you, Ashley.
Hey, Hank. We worked on the Guild of Future Architects together.
Oh,
My name's
cool.
Bernie Garcia. Just want you to tell the audience a little bit about your work in that.
Well, I was just writing with my friend Kamal Sinclair, who is one of my dearest friends, and we did a project called Question Bridge, Black Males Together, which I guess we'll be doing with Art Bridges soon. But there is this idea that many people within the Guild of Future Architects were cultivating about being future ancestors and what happened using speculative futures.
Futurism, speculative narratives,
To, why are you having me? You tell me. But it's like, I had a story that's not connected to the Guild, but it's just another model of people getting together to say, let's imagine something that doesn't exist so that we can plant seeds for it to go into the world, which is what I love about the Bauhaus, which is like, it's just like a bunch of just weird people being like, what if we did this? And on paper, they kind of failed. But in life, in the infinite life, they made some magic. And so I think the Guild of Future Architects is something like that. But there was an artist named Nicholas Shlobo from South Africa who I saw give the most masterful speech I ever saw. It was a panel, and every answer he had to the question was kind of like a backhanded, it was like a compliment insult. And because people would ask questions like, as a black South African artist, do you feel the responsibility to make work about this? And he was like, it's up to me whether I choose to be a sellout or a comrade. And I was like, whoa, like that is a creative choice. Yeah. And he said, the problem with South Africa post-apartheid was that people weren't living in the future that they wanted. So when it happened, they didn't know what to do with it. So he said, you have to live in the future that you want, so when it happens, you won't be surprised. And so when I think about moments like this, we can live, and also I like to say, like, I want to give our president his kudos, because he's like one of the most amazing manifestors of all time. Like, he's up there as a manifester. Like, he can make reality out of non-reality like nobody else. Like, everybody can see something like, that didn't happen. People, and half the people, tens of million people are like, yep, that definitely did not happen. And there's like a magic in that, this idea, like, I'm gonna believe so much in myself and my truth that enough people are gonna go along with it that it will alter all of the rules. And that is a challenge to the rest of us. Like, he's only one person who believes in himself. So I wanna share my fearless truth, right? And hopefully that, and my fearless truth is that we are all magic. And if we all share our magic, we will have equilibrium. But if we all submit to one person's magic, and they are maybe living with people who they have people with them that maybe they didn't love them in the way that they felt they needed to be loved. Like, that's what I think about with, like, who taught him to love? And how do I have empathy for whatever pain is manifesting in certain moments, and also joy, because he's fun. I mean, he's fun. You don't have to like him to acknowledge that he's fun. He's had a lot of fun and made a lot of fun for a lot of people. And that fun is what was part of the goodwill that he had and continues to have. And so I just really want everyone to think about that, like, if you spend your life making fun with other people, and even if you burn bridges left and right, like, there's a wake that you can surf, and I just pray that we all do more of that. I don't want to, like, fight. Like, people say you got to fight for what you believe in. I'm like, I'm not a good fighter. They know how to fight way better than me. Right? And there's a book by Thich Nhat Hanh called How to Fight, a Buddhist teacher, who was a peer of Martin Luther King, that I hope you choose to read. And yeah, only fight if you really know how. Don't go to a fight and be like, oh, I don't want to get hurt, you know? And so I'm like, how do I love? How do I love for what I believe in? How do I live for what I believe in? How do I live for the things I care about, rather than, fighting?
One more, Alyssa? Yes, we have time for one more question. I'm sorry, I have to
So
be
I
the
hope I
mean.
kinda answered
I have
your
to be the mean MC. We have a question right in the front row. Marissa. Thank you.
Hi.
We're making history?
Hi, Marissa Colberth, Art Bridges Foundation. I work really deeply with museums across the country to increase access to the art and bring in audiences that don't typically, might not feel welcome or might not engage with artworks as we typically see. How do you hope that your art can encourage audiences or people who may not feel welcome in museums or typical art spaces to then engage with art or your play, as you say?
How do I hope that the work can be? I just trust the people. Like, I was saying, a lot of the things that Art Bridges does, like, I'll find out later. I'm like, oh, my work is here. Oh, Art Bridges has this work. I didn't even. Once a work leaves an artist studio, it has its own life, and I'm not in control of the life of that artwork, as we saw. Like, other people are the stewards of it. And they're the friends. Like, most of these things I'll never see again. And I don't know if I made them, right? Because there are so many people within me. If you go back to the previous image, Christina, this is a work that's at MFA Boston. I found this post. You're not gonna believe this.
It's from the Wadsworth Athenaeum.
Yes, it is.
I know.
How'd you know that?
Because I read about it.
Yeah. So this is your second job.
This is one of my favorite Hank Willis Thomas artworks, and this is.
But why is the Wadsworth Athenaeum important to you?
I used to work at the Wadsworth Athenaeum, which was founded in 1842 by Daniel Wadsworth. It's one of the oldest art museums in America, and the collection is incredible. And in that museum is the Amistad Foundation, really one of the first sort of archives and collections looking at Black lives, remembering Black lives. Very important resource, underutilized resource. So you went down and looked at photographs and found this photograph, we think maybe from World War I era?
Yeah, and there's a show by a friend, Delphine Fundu,
yeah, upstairs.
who worked with the archives here. Because when I talk about time travel, like, if you engage with the museum as a docent or as a student or as a researcher or as a visitor, and you get to see you get to time travel in these stacks. True. And so I went to the Wadsworth Atheneum, and like they had all these postcards, and most of them were what we would call racist or caricature postcards. And among them, I found this. This is the front of the postcard and the back of the postcard, both exhibited at the same time. And it was the front of the postcard was just this man holding, wearing a World War I cavalry hat with a rifle, and wearing what looks like his Sunday's best, in front of a fence with a structure in the back of it. And on the back of it, the only thing written on the back was "Remember me."
Isn't that beautiful?
And I was like, wow. Someone, this has been waiting for me for maybe 100 years. To turn it around and be like, remember me. Because the story that I don't have the story of a black veteran soldier hero who was willing to protect their property and like exist with their perception of dignity as a citizen. Like he's wearing the cavalry hat with it says U.S. on it. He's like, I'm an American. I'm exhibiting my Second Amendment rights. I'm standing in front, there's a story there that you can think about American Gothic that's there. And somebody wrote, remember me on the back of it. So I'm like, the next slide, like, yeah, I'm gonna, all we wanna be is remembered. And how we wanna be remembered is
This is the work installed at the MFA Boston. So it's also a neon piece, and it's big.
Yeah, it's 30 feet or something.
Yeah,
But and that's so I just think that, so I'm like, I feel like I'm channeling stuff that other people have, I'm just receiving messages and pushing them forward. And if I get a little bit of reward along the way, great. If I don't, that's fine. The reward is being gifted with, there's no reward like your attention. And if you should know how valuable your attention is, because there are companies paying billions of dollars to capture your attention. And so what you choose to give it to is a gift. And so I just want to say thank you all, and thank you for your love and attention tonight.
Thank you.